What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, and that's the one, the only, it is Scott Savage. Scott, what's going on, man?
Oh, I'm having this issue with my eyes today. Barely keep them open.
Balance. Oh, you just tired? You're gaming up too late. You've been gaming too late, Scott. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, it seems like that's the problem. That's the usual problem for me, though.
It's always a problem. Dude, we got a good show where people can join us live every day over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later over at InsideTheGame.ca podcast services, the TV streaming networks around the globe. Coming up on today's show, we have new concept art and details for the upcoming Last of Us multiplayer. Thank goodness we're starting to see something out of this. Is there also a third entry in the works for the series? Of course there is. And Bungie is working on a number of unannounced titles and more. Scott, we got a hot show. We got lots to talk about.
Nah, I knew you'd definitely be happy about The Last of Us multiplayer.
Dude, I've been hungry, right? I've been really, really hungry. I kind of expected something sooner, right? When we got The Last of Us 1, then we got Factions shortly after, like maybe within 6 months. Dude, this has been
we're well past that now.
Yeah, we are long gone. So how do you keep people engaged with the game once it's done? Is The Last of Us Part 2 was an amazing experience. There's been no DLC, none. We did get left behind, right, with the first one. With The Last of Us Part 1, we got DLC afterwards and the multiplayer. Here, dude, we have nothing until now, as Naughty Dog has shared new concept art in his Last of Us multiplayer game. Not too much to really go off of here, Scott. It is a big cruise ship. Crash through a wall. Like, eventually, dude, we are going to break this stuff down. So there's two soldiers sitting down here that are going for a walk. There's a lot happening, but very little details have kind of emerged and been given to us as to what is actually happening within the game itself and what it actually looks like too. I think that's the more. I see some people are going, they're kind of concerned, and others are not. But this comes from time I've been over at VGC. Naughty Dog has released a second piece of concept art in its standalone Last of Us multiplayer game, which they're going to call Factions 2, Scott. That's what I'm calling it. All right, we're going to call it Factions 2. That's where we're at right now. The studio shared the first concept art of the project last June when it revealed that the title will be featured its own story and brand new cast of characters. Scott, I'm stopping right there. Their own story, brand new cast of characters. No Joel, no Ellie, no Abby, no nobody. Like, nobody, dude, nobody. We're getting a whole new game. This sounds like a brand new game, and maybe this is why it's taken so long, right? We're getting Factions 2.0, but Factions at a whole other level. If we're bringing in story with the first multiplayer with Factions, we never really saw a story branch to it at all. There was never really any story given to us. It was, here's multiplayer, go have fun. And man, I had a blast playing that thing. It was a bit of a scavenging survival multiplayer game where you have to go out, gather up resources, build smoke bombs, build stuff, loot other things, and then progress that way. And it was fantastic. It was, I want to say it was 4 or 5 versus 5. It's been a while since I jumped into the game. Dude, this is like PS3 days, right? So yeah, it's definitely been a while. And then since then, we have had nothing. Now we're getting little tidbits, little small pieces of details as to, bless you, what's going on here with the Last of Us multiplayer 2.0. And it's very, very exciting. But what I want to see now really is what does the future hold and what is going on. But the studio co-president Neil Druckmann said in a blog post that more information of the game will be revealed later this year. Quote, we're looking ahead to The Last of Us 10th anniversary in June. 10 years already, Scott.
Holy. In June we're talking about now, though. That's still so far away.
Oh, man, I know, right? It does feel like it is. It feels like it's years away, but it's not. It'll be here before we know it. And we're so excited to share more with you about the future of this franchise, he wrote. We'll have some fun surprises for you along the way, but later this year, we will begin to offer you some details on the ambitious The Last of Us multiplayer game. With the team led by Vinette, Joe, and Anthony, the project is shaping up to be a fresh, new experience from our studio, but one rooted in Naughty Dog's passion for delivering incredible stories, characters, and gameplay. Scott, again, right, this hunkers back to, this is a brand new game.
It sounds like it, yeah. It seems like it's separated entirely from Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. It's just its own standalone now in that universe.
So,
which maybe that is the right move. If you're going to insert a bunch of story through it, you don't want it to impact what the characters are already going through.
Sure. Here's my question to you, Scott. Is it standalone in the way that Rockstar did with GTA Online or Red Dead Online, where you could purchase it separately? Is it free to play? Is it packaged with? I think it is, obviously. If you already own The Last of Us Part 2, you're going to get this. I cannot, man, like, what an uproar that would be if I own The Last of Us Part 2 and we don't get the multiplayer to go with it. Is this a free to play model? Or are we going the way of Fortnite, Scott?
Oh, I'm not certain. I'm not certain that Fortnite kind of the way just free to play would be what they go for after this long, because it's just been so long in development now. There's going to be some costs they want to recuperate, and do you do that just with cosmetics? I'm not familiar enough with the universe in this game to know if there is that much cosmetic kind of potential.
Oh, dude, they had a ton of cosmetics. They had a ton of cosmetics in the Uncharted multiplayer. They have a ton of cosmetics opportunities here. The thing they cannot do is charge you for maps, right? I think this is where, going way, way back, you ready for this one, Scott? Assassin's Creed multiplayer. Loved it. Absolutely one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time was the Assassin's Creed. Here's what happened, and this is kind of where they fell apart. Dude, they charged you for that next map.
Oh, okay.
Which split the player base immensely. Some people bought it, some people didn't, and next thing you know, we are like divided, right? I want to play in the new map. It's a brand new map. I want in, man. Like, that's the way to go. Here, now, I think Ubisoft has learned their lesson, because every time we get a new map in Rainbow Six Siege, it is free, right? Everybody has access to it. What I think they've learned is that it keeps the community going, right? And so here's something that they can do with The Last of Us Multiplayer Part 2, and they're bringing in a whole economy system behind it. So I think we're going to be into battle passes. We're going to get into seasons. We're going to get into events. We're going to get into a higher standard of, dude, The Last of Us, like, Scott, you need to get, I'm going to get you a PS5 so we can play this. Like, this is a must for me. And I need a crew. So if you're up on PlayStation, hit me up, Cutter28 with a K. And I'm down for this whenever we get it. Do we get it this year, Scott?
Oh, I would like to see that come through, but I have such doubts now because it's been so long already. And
that hurts.
If we were getting more details, just a month or two away, Q2, that would be a lot more. That would make it seem like it's ready to go. Right now, I haven't seen a single thing except for this cruise ship.
Yeah, the cruise ship and the first image they shown over at Summer Games Fest with Jeff Keighley, right? So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the details are sparse, but the way Neil's talking about it, there seems to be a much bigger, grander scope of just being a multiplayer add-on to how The Last of Us Part 1 was with factions, right? It's going into a lot more. I think we'll be in here for the long run. Here's my other thing too, Scott. Sony is working towards games of services, right? They're getting into this model. Is Factions 2 heading in that direction? Is this one of the tentpoles of their titles, of their live service experiences that they're talking about, and they just haven't mentioned it yet?
Oh, could be. The Last of Us being quite a flagship under Sony. That could make a lot of sense.
Right? Because I'm starving for more. And, we also know we're getting HBO's TV adaptation January 15th, Scott. We are this close from the TV show. And from what I've heard, the first one starts off huge, just like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, I think I saw that. It was almost 2 episodes put together. That's a way to launch a pilot, in my opinion. I like that.
Absolutely. Get people involved. Get them in there now. If you haven't played, well, then you can. And, they kind of gets you pumped for what's coming down the pipeline. And then to top it all off, on March 3rd, Scott, it's the PC version of The Last of Us Part 1 coming over to Steam and such.
That's where I'm jumping on.
And there's where we hook Scott in. Yeah, absolutely, right? So it's been an unbelievable 10 years, and to know the journey of our characters has meant so much to so many of you moves our team, Druckmann said. Thank you for your support and appreciation for the work our teams do. We hope you'll continue to follow us along this road. Just don't forget, to pack a brick or a bottle. Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps. I cannot wait, Scott. I'm so excited. Is this the year of more The Last of Us?
I hope so. I hope so, just because seeing everybody's outpour of enjoyment in The Last of Us Part 2, those spoilers actually rocked me, and I'm not even invested in the series.
Right? Well, continuing on with more of The Last of Us director on a potential Part 3. I think there's more story to tell. No kidding. This comes from Tom Ivan over at VGC. Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann is seemingly hinted at plans for a third entry in The Last of Us series. While not confirming if The Last of Us Part 3 is coming or not, series director and co-writer Druckmann told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, "I think there's more story to tell," end quote. Druckmann said in April of 2021 that a story outline had been written for a potential third game in the series, but that it wasn't currently being developed. Scott, okay, this is where are we getting into the year of The Last of Us? Because now we're moving into TV show. Just a couple weeks away, right? TV show is going to kick things off. We're going to get the PC version now for The Last of Us Part 1 coming over. They're building an audience for The Last of Us. Whether that's television, whether that's gaming, we're getting into a lot of this transmedia crossover platforms now, mixing and mingling into one ecosphere, especially for PlayStation building and moving forward. We talked about it yesterday too, how a lot of this now is getting adapted over on multiple mediums and then bringing people back. So all of a sudden now you've never heard of The Last of Us, you watch it on HBO or Crave or whatever over here in Canada, and then from there you're like, man, what is this? You go back, you start playing the game now, Sky. Right? There's other ways to hook people in. And all of a sudden, The Last of Us, even though us gamers who are so heavily invested in The Last of Us already hold it at such a high pedigree, it now brings other people in that will boost it up even further.
Oh, I cannot wait to be one of those. I'm going to get on this on PC, and how am I going to stop just there? Especially if I know it's going to a third entry. This is definitely the thing you get a PlayStation for. Or, as we reported yesterday, maybe this is what I stream.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's so many options.
Maybe I can find a way in here without having to get the console, which would make me really happy, and I could join that community and, contribute to PlayStation in my own way.
Well, that's just it, right? We talked about the struggles right now of even finding a PS5. Like that's a huge factor for PlayStation right now. That, yeah, they're out there, but they're still struggling to put it on. They, as of yesterday, CES was yesterday, and they said they've sold 30 million units, PlayStation, PS5s sold through. 30 million, Scott. And that's with the struggle of finding a PlayStation, right? Like, they're not going anywhere. And then on top of all that, building up the hype of where they're bringing with The Last of Us, they're going to bring it in, and we'll be getting a Part 3 at some point. There's also rumors that Naughty Dog is working on a whole other franchise, a brand new IP. So when do we get Part 3? I think we see the new IP first and then Part 3.
Yeah, part of a big cycle to return back around.
Yeah, I think so. Sense. Yeah, it does, right? And then the Factions 2.0 more or less will carry us over, I think, hopefully, until we get Part 3. But speaking of multiplayer, Scott, none other than Bungie is working on a number of unannounced projects with Sony. The studio previously said it plans to bring at least one new IP to market by 2025. Scott, we're still a couple years out, man.
Yeah, still a good couple years there, but this is Bungie after all. It's not going to be a small project.
No, it's not going to be at all, right? Tom Ivan over at VGC once again. Bungie creative lead Tom Farnsworth has said the studio is working on a number of unannounced projects with parent company Sony. Farnsworth said on a Twitter post that the studio has completely changed how it develops games and does business over the course of 25 plus Destiny content releases, moving strictly box products to live service games. He continued, and with the support of Sony, we are working on a number of unannounced projects too. Interesting. In addition to its ongoing work on Destiny 2, Bungie said in February 2021 that it planned to bring at least one new IP to market by 2025. And
I'm wondering if we'll ever see Marathon again. Now, I don't think that would count as a new IP, however. You know, it's been dormant for so long. Marathon Durandal being the precursor to Halo.
Gotcha. I was lost as to what you're talking about. Yeah, that's before me. Well, it's not before me, but before I.
It's not before you.
No, it's not. I just wasn't there in that ecosystem yet. Not on that side. I was on PlayStation, but yeah. Dude, it's 2025. I'm shocked it's gonna take them that long. A little bit. Like Destiny 2 has been going for so long that you think they've already had in development before they even purchased by Sony their next title, right? Like whether that be Destiny 3 or a brand new IP. We've heard numerous rumors of them working on a new IP. We're looking to bring over something new and exciting, as well as keeping Destiny going, right? I would guess at some point we'll get Destiny 3. It is such a huge staple within the live service ecosphere that I don't think Sony wants to let that go, especially now picking up Bungie, right? Let's get into Destiny 3, keep that going. If you haven't been caught up with Destiny 2, good luck. Like, I tried getting back in, dude. I'm so lost. Like, there's so much on the go. I'm like, I don't understand what is going on, who any of these people are. Like, I need to refresh everything, almost to the point where starting over. And there's so many hours and so much content there. Dude, it's impossible. That's not gonna happen.
You actually cannot even play the original base. Some of the game has been locked off because of all these concussive updates, but that's how live service goes. I think you're correct, though. Is Sony going to let Bungie get out of live service? I don't believe so. Because I think that is one of their tentpole, as you said, ways of propping up this whole live service kind of motion they're doing.
Yeah, Sony has said it's planning to have 12 live service titles in the market by its fiscal year ending in March 2026, Scott.
That's a lot of games to come.
Dude, that's a huge amount of games, up from 12 during the current business year. The traditionally console-focused company also expects half of its annual releases to be on PC and mobile by 2025. Bungie is reported to be working on a new Destiny game for mobile in partnership with Chinese tech and gaming giant NetEase, which invested $100 million in the company. Woo-hoo. Man, oh man. So there's that, Scott. 12 live service games come out of Sony. Bungie, the team is working on whatever they are next for the live service experience. But by 2026, we're gonna have 12 live service games. Dude, getting one or two to take care of is a lot of work. Like if you,
I was just thinking, is this too many?
Oh man, 12. Now, granted, they're not all going to appeal to everybody. So I wonder what all is on the dock. Like there's a bunch there that, okay, maybe we'll dabble into this one, but yet we'll fall heavy for this one, right? This is where you kind of pick. You at the end of the day, it's not playing God of War, right? Where you can pump out 30 hours and then have that experience and then move on. If you're in the world of Destiny right now, like that's a grind. And you're continuing to grind and loop through and go back each and every day.
I have a friend, Kyle, from decades ago, and I see him every night on Destiny, still burning it every single night. Man. And that's how these live service games work, though. You get invested and hooked into it. And
away you
it's
go.
The same. I have friends that jump back into World of Warcraft for the same reason. There's a new update, time to go back.
Just like that, right? Scott, I did bring it up already. Sony says PS5 has cleared 30 million sales after its biggest month yet. Andy Robinson over at VGC has this to say: PlayStation 5 has sold through to consumers more than 30 million units. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced. The sales milestone was shared during a CES showcase on Wednesday. It means that the PS5 is now shipped to retailers, which is the data it usually shares. Another milestone coming out of PlayStation. We have yet to hear anything as to where Xbox Series X is sold, or S.
Yeah, I'm very curious myself, and I suspect the S has sold a lot.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, I think it actually outsold the X. If
I believe so.
Right? Yeah. So, Scott, I want to get into a couple more things before we wrap up the show today. So I want to move on quickly. I just wanted to bring that up. 30 million units sold through, but people are still having a hard time finding the PS5. But Sony showcases a sneak peek at Gran Turismo film during CES. This is David Carousel over at PSU. Gran Turismo was a hot topic for Sony during its CES 2023 presentation, with Gran Turismo 7 VR being announced as a launch title for PSVR 2 and the reveal of a sneak peek at the upcoming Gran Turismo film. Scott,
all right, cool. Well, that's it right there. I need to get a PSVR 2 now. I am medically unfit to drive. That's the short story of it.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately. But we can put you in this. We'll see what happens.
Might also be a medical risk, but that's one I'm willing to take.
Sacrifices need to be made sometimes, Scott. Yeah, we'll see. Dude, Gran Turismo 7 did not click for us over here at ITG at all. But jumping into VR is definitely worth experiencing and seeing how that goes with the new controllers. Like, if you have a steering wheel setup, I think you're into a whole other ball game of things.
Oh,
but yeah,
I have the Xbox one. I have the Ferrari wheel, but
nice.
From way back.
It's cool. And then they showed off a little bit for the film as well, which is always exciting. So a lot of people getting that one just seems like a weird turn of events.
The film.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it?
We'll see.
I'm worried it has a Fast and the Furious feel about it, but that
maybe,
would be
right.
quite out of character for Forza, I believe.
Or
sorry, Gran Turismo. Forza might work a little bit better that way.
Maybe Forza Horizon. Scott,
yeah.
They also revealed Project Leonardo, a new accessibility controller kit for PS5. This is amazing. I absolutely love to see this. We already see Xbox building up controllers for accessibility. It opens up opportunities for gamers who aren't able to hold a controller like we normally do, right? So it opens up the opportunity now to bring in other audience members to enjoy and appreciate the same games we do. During Sony CES 2023 presentation, we got our first look at Project Leonardo, what Sony calls a highly customizable accessibility controller kit for PS5. Dude, very exciting. I saw that and I thought this was awesome. I'd love to talk to Sony about this actually and see what we can do to work with them and showcase this at other levels. We have sick kids down in Toronto that I think a lot of them could really benefit from and open up opportunities for other gamers and people who want a game that just aren't able to. So I do like to see Sony branching out and giving others opportunities. And then they joined up with a couple other companies as well, organizations to help this. And Able Gamers is one of the charities that I saw instantly kind of peaked up. So very cool stuff to see that. Do appreciate people always branching out and making the gamers available for everyone. And that's what the game is all about, right?
Yeah.
Bringing the joy to
everyone.
There's
two things that I like. Play anywhere. That's Xbox motto. And now everybody plays. And there's nothing to complain about there.
No, not at all. Scott, I'm going to skip the one and then go into the other. Here is big Final Fantasy announcement tease for 2023. Unrelated to Final Fantasy 7. Robert Ramsey over Push Square. Final Fantasy has said a big announcement is coming in 2023, and it isn't related to the ongoing Final Fantasy 7 saga. Cadiz is currently working on Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth as the game's producer, which makes his teasing especially interesting. Rest assured, we're working hard to make sure 2023 is the most exciting year yet, he says. Scott, do you have any idea what's going on? I dabble with Final Fantasy, but I don't jump in heavily whatsoever. This is really a Brad thing.
Yeah, I have not been keeping up. I was very interested in 16, but I haven't seen or heard anything about 16 in quite some time. I really haven't searched it out myself. Now, my favorite, though, I'm an outlier from the whole Final Fantasy because my favorite, other than 15, which I love, a lot of people don't, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Now,
gotcha.
I know we're not getting a 2 because Crystal Chronicles was never actually a Final Fantasy game. It was skinned to be. But that's where my head goes. Every time I think, new Final Fantasy, okay, maybe this is it.
Yeah, here we go. Scott, we do have a couple games actually out today. It's been a while since we've seen any games released. It is obviously the new year, and teams are building up their release stuff, but a lot of people have already spent their money with the holidays, Scott. But today you can spend your money on something else. What do we have?
We do have Cotton Fantasy on PC, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game complete edition, is now on Steam.
Well, that one surprised me. I actually had to double check on that one, man. I thought it was already out, but apparently it did not come to Steam. It came to consoles first, which is not usually the case.
Corey and I think, played it a long time ago now.
It was a while ago. You can check out a review over on our YouTube channel. But either way, Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, of course, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at theofficialITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.